You ever get your kid one of those big plastic ride-on toys and they just get bored and stop using it after a month?
Yeah, we've had a bunch of them. Scooters, Jeeps, pedal bikes, the whole deal. They don't usually break, they just stop being fun once your kid outgrows the speed or the size.
That's why we're excited to try something different. A kit with tons of different rides to build together that feels more like a fun project than just a toy.
But this build surprised us in more than one way. We hit some small slowdowns and some small frustrations. There were some gaps in the instruction manual and a few other things we'll cover in the video.
If you're thinking about building the Hero Motorcycle or any of the rides on the Infento Ultimate Kit, this video will show you how the process actually went for us.
We'll walk through a time-lapse build and share a few tips that will save you some time.
And yeah, you'll also get to see the finished Hero Motorcycle at the end of our full review of the build. Hey, what's up guys? I'm Evan.
And I'm Ryan.
Welcome to the Binding Blueprint. Okay, please stop doing that. Cut!
Oh boy.
When looking at all the options, I definitely wanted to build the Hero Motorcycle first. It's an electric ride-on with a real throttle, rear wheel, motor, brakes, and just looks super cool.
We thought it was about the right size for Evan since it's at the upper range of the kit and it looked cool in the catalog, but we honestly weren't sure how hard it would be to build or how much he'd even ride it after.
At the end, we'll show you the finished bike and give our honest review of how it rides, what worked, and whether it was worth the effort. For now, let's get into it.
Okay, so during the build part of this video, we'll speed through some of the repetitive sections so you're not sitting through hours of the same steps, but we'll pause for close-ups when something interesting happens, especially where things didn't go as planned.
All right, so first step, let's explain what we're doing, right? So we've got the aluminum you can see over there on the laptop. So you've got this big piece right here, okay?
We have the M825s.
Yep.
We got two of them, and
All right, so we're gonna do the bottom piece. So you've got
this fits in there. It's the biggest wrench, I think.
All right, so you get the top piece on. Now add your next piece, and then slide the bolt in.
Why is the thingy-majiggy not going any?
So sometimes you got to get it just right, you know. Sometimes you want to move it around a little bit. There you go. You want to get it so it fits right in, and you'll screw it down. There you go. All right. You don't want to wrench it down too tight at first until we know exactly what we're up to here.
So then we need another thingy-majiggy, and this thingy-majiggy to put on this thingy, I think. This thingy.
All right, so fun fact, you get to learn from our mistakes. We picked out, there's these that look the same on that side, but if you flip them over on the back, be careful because the backing is a little different. And as you can see from the laptop, we were supposed to have the one with the four corners, and we put the wrong ones in there. And so we actually noticed they were popping up a little bit when we were putting them on. So just make sure you pay attention to those two part differences. So one thing that Evan and I were just chatting about a little bit is, you know, when you're using Allen wrenches, you've got a long side and a short side. So this side is great for when you want to spin that nut in really fast and you're not getting a lot of resistance. It goes in a lot faster. But once you get to here, you don't want to tighten the nut down with this short end. It gets a little harder. You want to go like this and use the longer end and then use that, and you get a lot more leverage, and it makes it a lot easier to tighten down when you're in the tighten down phase.
Okay, so when you get to this step, the slide locks here, these gave us a little bit of grief on installing. So I just wanted to quickly show what we figured out after a little bit of trial and error and what works best for us. So during many parts of the build, you're going to be attaching one aluminum rail to another aluminum rail. And quite often you're going to be attaching it to the side of one of these aluminum rails. And so this piece here is what you're going to be using to attach one rail to another rail. So quite often you're going to be installing this part. And so what we found is making sure that the extrusion there goes in that rail so it slides up and down. And that's the proper way to do it. And that way when you tighten it down, it actually sucks that extrusion further into the rail to hold it in place. So what we found is to pre-install the two pieces together, or 3 or 4, sometimes there's more, and then just put the slide nut on just a little bit, maybe a quarter turn, a half a turn, just enough so it holds on, it won't pull off. But you really only want it on there, you know, as loose as possible. And then slide it right into the groove on the rail, and then take the Allen wrench, and you'll notice that once you tighten it, it locks that in. Then finish tightening it down, and you'll notice that, you know, as you're tightening it down, you're going to be able to look there right in the end. It's not going to move. It's super, super tight, and it pulls that little extrusion further into the groove. And I want to quickly talk about some tips and tricks. So first, this kit has a lot of screws, and doing them all by hand gets old really fast. A cordless drill with the right impact bits saves a ton of time and effort. Unfortunately, I didn't get those until after we finished the hero build, but in testing, it's probably going to save us hours. The included measurement tool is your best friend for matching up lengths quickly. Get familiar with it before you start so you're not constantly second guessing part sizes while building. And if you missed our unboxing video, we showed exactly how we organized all the pieces to make the build go smoother. That setup saved a lot of headaches here, and I'll link that down in the description. Okay, so the manual actually omitted a pretty important piece of information: what goes in these two holes as far as the bolt size and nut size. And so what you need is the M635 bolts, and those just go in either side. And then holding the back on the other side, you'll put the nuts in the other side. And I probably should actually put the nuts in first and held those in place and then done the bolt heads, but you get the picture. You put the two nuts in place, hold those, flip it over, tighten down the bolts, and that is how this piece gets assembled. Unfortunately, the manual, and I've checked other manuals and other steps, and this piece is always omitted for some reason. Some steps need two people to hold things steady or line up parts, and exactly why we love projects like this. If you're building this with your kid, then let them try to figure out each step before you jump in. It makes the build process more fun and gives them real problem-solving practice. Something to watch out for is the manual doesn't always tell you to repeat steps for duplicate assemblies. You'll turn the page and suddenly, oh, there's 2 of something where you only built 1 of on the page before. And make sure the screws go in straight. Take your time getting screws started straight. If they go in at an angle, you risk stripping the threads or damaging the parts. So just like I mentioned in our Lego build videos, build time is talk time. Use these hours to catch up, tell stories, hear about their day. The conversations can be just as rewarding as the finished project.
The build took way longer than I thought it would, but it turned out awesome. Some parts were tricky and I got a little bored at sometimes, but the finished bike is really cool.
Overall, the Hero looks great. The materials feel very solid and durable. Looks pretty fun to ride, but there are some things we wish were a little different.
Yeah, I have 3 big issues with the bike. First, even though the 3rd speed setting unlocked, it still feels slow when my friends ride past me on their pedal bikes. Second, the seat is really uncomfortable after a short amount of time. It's a bit too hard. Last, the brakes don't really work that well.
I think, honestly, Evan is pretty close to aging out of the kit. I like the kit, quality's great, but I think it would be ideal for a kid around 6 or 7. Old enough to still help with the build, but young enough to appreciate the 10 miles an hour speed. There are a lot of other cool builds though, so this is just our early first impression.
Let us know in the comments if there is a build you want to see next.
Hi, my name's Ryan. I like long walks on the beach, candlelight dinners.
We're thinking about what to do next, and we're open to suggestions. If this video helped you or gave you some ideas, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel to see what we get into next.
Thanks for watching. You're awesome.
Beep.